You're listening to Fish Out of Water, the podcast where feeling out of place becomes the start of something new. Dive in with us. Let's explore stories, insights, and real conversations that help you swim forward with purpose.
Welcome back to Fish Out of Water, episode 10, season 2. We are so excited to have you here with us today. We are wrapping up a second season of this podcast. And Brett, I know you're just as excited as I am to finish up this journey here and kind of give a glimpse into the next things that we might be talking about forward. But, you know, coming out of this season, what are the things that really stand out to you that we've talked about?
I think that the idea of the cyclical process of journeying deeper into who I am, that I have been working with these tools for numerous years, but every single time I come back to them, I'm revisiting myself. I'm retooling, I'm redefining, I'm learning more. I am becoming more aware of how I lean towards people, teams, projects, and relationships. And I think that this season has been really, really cool in allowing that space to exist, even for me. That's my biggest takeaway so far.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the things that we talked about in the first season was imposter syndrome. And this season, we haven't actually mentioned imposter syndrome, I think, once. If we did, I don't recall it. But marrying the two seasons together, what I've really taken away from this idealism that we were talking about in terms of how to make our world a better place around us is that one of the things that we need to be mindful of when we're in a situation that's new is that it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to stretch us. And whether it's a safe space or not, the question for me that I ask myself, because you talk about, you know, your journey continues, my journey certainly continues. The question I ask myself is, I feel uncomfortable here, but is this something that I feel is necessary that's going to help the group move forward, heal, whatever the situation is? And am I willing to take this risk? Is it worth it for me in this moment? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is no. But it's a question that I do ask myself, because if I don't try, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. These are the right parts of the conversation. It's ensuring that there's balance and there's contribution. That's the most exciting part for me. And I think that not only have I learned so much more about myself, but even learning more about you as well. That hearing and listening and spending the time to gain a deeper perspective of what is my impact in our conversations in our space.
Yeah.
And how does that impact you? And how does it work for me as well? And we've talked so many times about strengths, limitations, that there is this process that when we are willing, it will be available to us and it'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the willingness to take that first step.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about the motivation, the driving motivation to not a safe space as defined, but in our last episode, we defined that safety intention, that our growth is going to be when we are under pressure, when we're in tension, but that we're holding that gently. And so the idea of the fear is not what threatens us. It is, how are we understanding what's missing and what's needed? And the missing and needed component is directly related to those essential limitations. And that's hard.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're taught from when we're children
Yeah.
Be strong, do this, be that, be everything that you're not, and always fix the things that you're not good at.
For
Versus,
some of us are
yeah,
like, you're really good at this. Let's, worry about that. Don't worry about this. And you never get fulfillment in that area. So, I mean, it goes kind of both ways, but I get what you're saying.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Um, you know, but to the point that I think you were making is that in many ways, we are taught to live out of a place of fear and lack rather than abundance and strength. And
hmm
this season was really about helping people to find their footing in their areas of strength in terms of who they are authentically,
hmm
how they show up in a room, and when they're not in fear, operating out of fear, but rather with confidence or with the intention of working with the group and collaborating and, everybody having a voice at the table, whatever that may look like. So, just as a quick recap, because we've talked so much about it this season, but we have the reflective who seeks clarity,
hmm
the intentional that seeks connection, the supportive that seeks steadiness. They like everything to be even keeled, and the empowered who seeks direction and moving forward. And what I would love for people to really take out of this season is figuring out how you're represented in any of these core temperaments that we've talked about, how you show up in the spaces that you occupy, and how you want to grow in those spaces, knowing what you
hmm
know now. What are you willing to explore? Um, it's mostly questions in my head because I want you to be asking yourself, how am I showing up? How do I want to come away from this situation? If I were to leave tomorrow, how would I want to be remembered? What's the legacy that I'm leaving? We haven't even talked about legacy. Um, and legacy is not about, leaving riches and whatever. It's about leaving something that matters to other people,
hmm
right? Um, and moving from this place of fear to this place, and we've defined fear over and over again, not in terms of being afraid, but just this place of being uncomfortable and not knowing what the outcome is, but um going to the in that space of uncertainties, that you're still willing to show up as who you are naturally and grow in that as well. um and then we've also talked about moving from that fear, sorry, to give language to what I just said, we're moving from fear to motivation. Like, what's helping you to move forward and become confident in who you are? I think it's really important. I think I said this to you earlier, Brett, is that these core temperaments do not in any way, shape, or form define you as a person, so much as it is a, a, a template, if you will, or a I don't even want to say a guide. It's something that you can look at and say, hey, this is kind of where I identify. Um, but it doesn't define your personality. It doesn't define how you're going to react in every situation, because everybody has had different life experiences, different things that they have seen, and the way that they react are based on all those experiences. Nobody's had the same experience. I mean, I look at my sister, my brother. We grew up in the same household. We're three totally different people. We've been through the same things, but yet our memories of them can be very different as well, right? So this is just a tool to help us have something to work from, if you will.
Well, and you've hit the nail on the head, tool pun intended. The the idea that we we are not the culmination of one thing, but we are the sum of all the parts.
Yeah.
And that the the rise assessment, the disc assessment, Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, go through the list of all of the things that might be out there. The danger becomes when we use one to define the breadth of the others. And it becomes so short sighted to use your temperament to define your personality.
Yeah.
It is your responsiveness. It is how your brain is pursuant of safety security. It's
Hmm.
trying to answer a very specific question that is ingrained in who you are, but it's not the personality. I love when I describe it, the temperament is the wiring, the personality is the output. And you can change the output
Yeah.
by changing some of the programming inside the wiring. You can't change the wiring, but we can change how the output is then manifested. And we do that all the time. If me as an extrovert all of a sudden find myself in a room of introverts, I can be an introvert for a little while. The introvert in a room of extroverts can become an extrovert for a little while. And
Hmm.
and I think this is one of those really important elements talking about introversion and extroversion, that in the early 2010s, it was actually, it wasn't disproven per se, but what they did was is they created this ambivert, and they created a scalable process. So you were not either one or the other. There was a scale that you could be in the midst of. I love being by myself, but for me, when my awareness is recognized without community, I find myself isolating further and further and further.
Hmm.
But when I find the space where my awareness is building into community, now I'm in a formation process. Now I'm measuring, okay, wait, how do I be for this person versus that person? And I'm actually learning balance in a large part because of the podcast that we've had, these 2 seasons that I've been able to kind of wrestle with myself in the midst of these real genuine press record kind of conversations, that we have some ideas, we have some notes, but my goodness, let's be honest, we're off the rail. We're off the rail in this one already. Like, we're just, woo, this train is moving and
Hang
nothing's,
on.
hang on. Yep. Yep.
No, but I mean, I even as you say, like these conversations, you always come away and wrestling with yourself. This is not a new journey for you by any means, nor is it for myself. These are things that we have been wrestling with over time, and maybe it's just new ways of looking at things that we've encountered here in these conversations. And I think, how do I say, the we've talked about moving from like pressure to permission. So one of the things that I have taken away personally, using this pressure to permission has been a huge thing, because how many times have I sat in a room and either clamped up because of the pressure or acted like an extrovert, but like overly so because of the pressure that I felt in that situation, compared to having the permission to, or feeling like I have the permission, the safety of wanting to be quiet during that time. Whether that was being an extrovert or introvert is irrelevant, but being like, I'm allowed to be myself. I don't need to perform, to act, to show up as something not myself. If these folks don't like what they're seeing, they're not the people that I need to be around. That has been a really freeing way of looking at situations for myself, because we say we don't need to be liked by everyone. Um, and yes, there are times that absolutely you need to show up to make some level of impression with folks, but that doesn't mean that you show up in a way that's not you, you know?
Mhm.
Because there's times where uh I like to be myself as well, just like how you said. And there's times where I really need people around me, because I've got some things to share. And I'm still the same person. I'm still being authentically me in each of those situations, but that's who I want to be in the situation, because I'm feeling genuinely fulfilled for it. I'm fulfilled by it. I'm not performing for a reason. It's just who I am being naturally in that moment. I don't know that we've broken it down that way um, during any of our conversations, but when we're talking about authentically ourselves, you're not authentically quiet all the time. I mean, maybe you are, but there's times where you're going to look different because that's who you want to be in that moment, in the sense of you're excited about something. So you're going to be super talkative about what the thing is that you're excited about versus another time where you're just, I don't want to use the word melancholy, but you're just in this space of, I need to be quiet and just be in the moment and take everything in. And, you know, dude, Gen Xer here. um, but that's important.
Mhm. It's key. It's critical to, in the presence of our self-awareness, where are we? Who are we? What are we trying to be and accomplish? And I think that that internal journey should surprise you. It should bring out the best of you. It should unpack some of the things that you've been, I don't maybe like that about myself. Um, I mean, I used to be the bull in the china shop. Every room that I went into, something needed to be broken so that I could put it back together. Now I'm like, whoa, no, I don't want to be the one that's doing that. I just now want to come in and be an anchor, being a centering point, being a place where people know that there's a strength, but it's not overwhelming.
Mhm.
And I think that for me, COVID was interesting in that it forced everybody digital, and digital became an equalizer in many ways because the disconnect you could have in space, in the community, in team development, you could literally just eject yourself, turn your camera off, put some music on, or any number of things to just remove yourself from what was uncomfortable. And I think now that as we are 5 years out, almost 6 years out of COVID, that we're now starting to go, oh, I didn't learn some of these essential skills on what it meant to be in person, to be in my strength. And and I think that the practice of um I love being an extrovert, in case no one's wondered yet. I love being disruptive with a purpose, but I've learned how to be responsive. And these are two words we want to lean towards moving forward into our next season. That how are we going to press forward is how our how does our presence disrupt what is currently happening, and how does our presence respond to what is currently happening in the healthiest way? Because with knowing what I need for appreciation and affection, knowing how my autonomic brain is trying to drive something forward, I now have tools to know, how do I become the healthy version of me? And some of these upcoming conversations are very exciting about what is it going to look like to just be, and then adaptive, flexible, because it's not about me. It's not about
Mhm.
my way. It's about the collective. It is about, and I don't hear a lot of the conversations about collaboration, but I'm really excited about building a very intentional foundation on what collaboration looks like
Mhm.
and how do we make space. In the last episode, we talked about being under tension. Collaboration, once the tension is solved, is an unfathomable experience of what can get done. One of the teams that I worked with, this was 2 years ago, and we had 1,500 participants globally. It was known as it's a team project called Flash Lab. And these are very, very high level project managers who donate their time for 6 weeks out of the year. And what they do is they receive desired projects from a global audience, and then they segregate everybody into teams to execute on these projects. I think within the first 72 hours, we had 300 pieces of content that were developed, tuned, edited, and available for release. And they were all white labeled, which meant anybody in the world could use them if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just I watched this unfold as I came into the space with a thing that the project that I wanted to get done, and I was absolutely overwhelmed with how well it functioned. I've now adapted and I've become one of the members of this global team, helping facilitate AI training and artificial intelligence and large learning models and such, and how to use these in safe and healthy ways. And so I think that it is drawing on how we are becoming more aware
Mm-hmm.
of who's in the space
Mm-hmm.
that for me has been really, really powerful. I
Yeah.
don't know, share a little bit kind of what this, some of the awareness is for you, and how are you drawing towards this road forward that we're uncovering?
I think other than what I shared earlier today, really I'm really becoming more and more in tune with how important it is for helping people to identify, and this is from a very external perspective. I get that, but as a coach, helping people to identify what they get excited about, because just as you're talking about, you have flash labs with project managers who are giving 6 weeks of their time like free. That's a big deal, and the amount of stuff that you got done is that people who are excited about things and care about sharing those things that they're excited about are willing to do things for free. And it's not about the money. That's not the
Mm-hmm.
point. The point is about what you get done when you're excited about something and you see value in what you're sharing with others. And so this whole process of learning about yourself, the journey takes you along this path where you start asking yourself better and better questions that help you get to your true motivations, your true values or sense of values, if you will. And that becomes a part of the decision making process as you move forward. If you're switching careers, if you're changing jobs, even, knowing those motivations, knowing what your values are, knowing what you want to get out of stuff because of who you are and how you're wired, makes your decision making process that much more defined in the sense that there's less angst about things because you already have in your heart, no, I know this is what I want. I just got to find it, right? And so I think, I don't know, that's my biggest takeaway, because we're
Mm-hmm.
about building community, but this whole process of figuring out who we are and how we're motivated really helps you with your progress forward, because we make decisions every second of every day. Am I going to have a glass of milk, or am I going to have a cup of coffee? Am I going to talk to that person, or am I going to talk to that person? Does this need to get done before this needs, like, it's every moment of every day we are making decisions. And if you're not making decisions, then you're not actually living. I'm sorry. I will
Mm-hmm.
say that as it is. Right? And so before I go on, because that's where my passion lies, in helping people to move towards those places of healthy decision making for themselves. Um, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here, because you're right. We came off script and I'm like, do we end here?
Well, I think that the the idea of disruption and responsiveness, carrying
Yeah.
those two words forward,
Yeah.
that what I would want all of our listeners to take time with as this episode concludes and we kind of take a bit of a break before we get into the next season, that where are you sitting in clarity? Where are you building connection? Where are you seeking consistency? And where are you aligning? And there's an image that some of our listeners may not absolutely get. But here's what I would ask you to go and look. Go to YouTube and look up Bugs Bunny should have made a right turn at Albuquerque. All of the episodes where Bugs Bunny gets into the craziest adventures of his life are mistakes. They are the places where he shouldn't have been, should have made the right turn, should have made the left turn, whichever it is, but he's able to find himself fully present with where he is, and he's just Bugs Bunny. What's up, Doc? And it's this moniker of, as you find your current, as you find out how you're going to swim, how are you moving from one pool to the next, how are you building community, is about the invitation and the self-awareness that we're challenging people to grow in. What do you need at your core?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't do it all. And if you're trying, please stop. Work on the thing that you're really, really good at, and find the people that do the thing that you don't do or you don't enjoy, and empower them, not to do it for you, but to do it alongside you. And for you to bring the similar back to them, to do it alongside them, to do life with them and life with you. It's a shared experience. This is authentic community, which
Mm-hmm.
is what we're driving towards.
Yeah. We have been extremely privileged and have had the pleasure
Mm-hmm.
of doing the second season, having you guys join us. And as we sign off today, let me change my energy because it sounds like we're, signing up for good. Uh, it's been a pleasure. This whole process has been, as we've said, a journey for us. I think you can tell from all my ums and ahs and so on. This is not a natural process of doing the podcast, but it's been such a learning experience hearing from you guys. A lot of people speaking to me on, the back end, not even in the comments, but calling me up and, hey, Lisa, have you thought about this or that? Or, I like what you guys said about this, and the feedback has been really good. Even some of the negative stuff has been interesting to hear. But we just encourage you guys to really learn to live in the moment, learn to look at how you're showing up, whether it's reacting or responding, whether it's disrupting or responding, even. We're going to talk about more of that next season and where that language is coming from. But we hope to see you as we move forward. Please don't forget to check out our website with some of the blogs and courses that we offer at www.empoweryoucoaching.ca. And we wish you guys an amazing week. We'll see you soon.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.